Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to another guide to Radiant Dawn hacking. Today, we continue with the basics. Last time we went through like how to get started with Radiant Dawn hacking overall, getting Paragon installed, and starting your first project. And like doing some like small edits as well. Today, we go with a little dive into scripting. Foremost, I have to tell you, there's like two methods. One method is going through Paragon, a second method uses Visual Studio Code. One is more advanced, the other one is a lot more simpler. Personally, I like the Visual Studio Code approach, but I will definitely show you both methods so you can get started with your Radiant Dawn project and do some like small cool edits, like inserting new reinforcements or adjusting the game overall, how it, does its own things. Like when should a unit transform? Like a good reminder is at Act 2 when Nialucci transformed at the start of the chapter. Do you want to keep that continued? Maybe you want to write a script file that tells at the start of every chapter every Lagoon should transform automatically. Things like that is definitely possible via scripting, and it's something I can show you all in the future to make it a bit more advanced. But right now, we will do just some simple edits to showcase, hey, this is how it's done. Let me start off by showing you the first method. We start our little project folder or open it up and choose Paragon. As you may see, I still have our project from last time. Let me open it up. And something really interesting, we have like a chapter data scripts. What happens if we do scripts? I open up here the folder. Let me delete that. That is from an earlier session where I tried to already like get a video going. This is like my second attempt actually. But overall, if we go to scripts, open it up, open scripts as well, like the folder for it, we see like files called C0101 and etc. It goes down to all the acts. The 000 file is a game developer map where like a lot of testing can happen. You can activate it and make it like the first map to try out some different things. But if you just want to edit Radiant Dawn, we can start it out with the first prologue chapter. First and foremost, there's two things you have to know. There are CMB files and EXL files. The game reads the CMB files, that's the compressed version. Or like, not the compressed, like the compiled version of the EXL file. If we choose to edit the prologue, we can do a double click. It will then generate in the output folder that we declared the exalt folder. This is where he puts the EXL files that you just opened up and edited. So let us do like a simple edit. In this case, we wanna change in the prologue that Leonardo will join you on turn 2 instead of turn 4. That's the goal that we wanna accomplish in this case. Oh, from an earlier edit, I haven't like adjusted it anymore. Like over here, we see I edited back in this case. We have two events that happens on specific turns. We have like the first event that starts on turn 3. That is specifically for easy mode. If there's like a call out if normal, it will always mean easy mode in this case. So it will then start the Anon FN event 11 that is right at top of here. So it's easily to find. And this is basically the event that says, hey, Leonardo, come on the map. The conversation between with Mikaya is happening. It's telegraphed over there. And if we want to change it in hard mode specifically, we have in the script file like a little exclamation mark before the normal that says every other mode that is not easy in the Western mode or normal mode in the Japanese version. So this will affect hard and maniac mode or normal or hard mode, depending on what version you're playing in this case. So in our normal or hard mode in the Western version, he joins on turn 4. We change that by changing it to 2. So that looks good right now. We have changed it. What we have to do now is to say compile up here. We compile it. It will create now another folder called scripts. And here is now the readable file for the game. We cannot read it ourselves. We can read the EXL file via the Exalt editor, but we cannot do it for the CMB file. But this is like the important file that we want to copy over into the game so it knows what it has to do. So go to edited files, copy that in. And as a little demonstration, we start Dolphin, our like the guide in this case. Press start, create a new game that starts on normal mode in this case. Let's skip over everything. We have still the Micaiah from last time with maximum res and also the critical 25 skill. Let me do some little adjustments. Let's move Eddie over here, end the turn. Let the fight with Eddie happen. Good job, Eddie. And now we see Leonardo joins a lot earlier than we are used to, actually. So we accomplished to edit it that Leonardo is joining on turn 2, and it's also inserted in the game now. So let me close it. That's basically the method you can do, like the first method for script editing in this case. So what other options do we have? There's like a second option, and I mentioned already that we can use Visual Studio Code to do the edits, and it's also my preferred method. But because I really like to use Visual Studio Code, it has a lot of assistance, or like overall, like you can do searches through all script files you have, but it's a little bit more complicated. It's advanced. Let me delete these files in this case and create a new folder called scripts. It's a lot more manual labor as well, but when you get used to it, it's not really that difficult. I will first show you the websites that we need. We have first Visual Studio Code. I will put it in the video description. You can download it for Windows. And yeah, when you have it installed, check out if there's like any updates left. Visual Studio Code will tell you if there's any updates still available. Then we need another tool from Thane. Thane, as I mentioned before in the video, in a previous video in this case, created Paragon, but he also created a lot more tools. And here's a specific tool called Exalt RS. And what Exalt RS does is basically doing the compile and the decompile that we now already kind of used in the Paragon itself. But if we use, in this case, Visual Studio Code, we have to do it manually. So we need specifically the Exalt RS in a specific folder. You can download it here. Just click on the exaltcle.exe, download it, and I will show you in a second what you have to do afterwards. Because we need something else as well. And there's another tool from Thane again. God bless him. He's such a blessing for the community to bring so many tools for us to do edits. Here is an extension for Visual Studio Code that allows to like read like specific files, and is overall like a little assistance for if you want to use it in Visual Studio Code. So what I do if I do a project is create like a little folder. I call it scripts compressed in this case here. Here are all the CMB files of the game. We click into it, we see like all the CMB files. So you can just copy them over from the original files. If we go to the Radiant Dawn files, we see a script folder, and here are all the CMB files. I usually just copy them all, go into that folder and copy it in. What you do next is also to put in the exalt.cle file into the same folder. Let me delete this from an earlier edit. And if the exalt.cle is in the same folder as the scripts compressed, then everything is really good, because in the end we have to call out the exe file. And it's a bit easier if it's in the same folder with the CMB. Let me start the Visual Studio Code. So first and foremost, if you start out, you will see that don't see the left bar in this case. Here are all the files that we have. What you want to do, if you want to see that as well, go to File at the top, say Open Folder, and send him into the direction where all your files are. I like to take always like the full project folder, because oftentimes I have like multiple folders that I want to enter in a specific coding session in this case. So we have now the ROMFS, we have also the script compressed folder. When we try to open up the prologue chapter with the CMB file in this case, it will say it's not able to display it. That's a bummer, that's okay. We will look at it in a second. First, we have the extension that I showed you a second ago, the Visual Studio Code extension. It gives you like a VSIX like file in this case. And how you install it is go into like this little extension box. We have the 3 points up there, and there's like a little option called install from VSIX. You just choose the file, it does the installation on its own. It will maybe ask like 1 or 2 questions, just say okay, that's fine. And then you have the extension exalt FE scripting from Fane active. He wrote like a little message here, crappy exalt language plugin. Still goated, I really love to use it. So you got like basically the groundwork done. What you want to have next is basically the terminal that I just closed. Just show it to you. You have on the top section the view option, and there's terminal down there. If you click at it, it will open up your PowerShell. You can also up like other systems like a Windows subsystem Linux, things like that. But for us, the PowerShell is completely enough. And what we can do is to say we want to go into the script compressed folder in this case. You can just write a point, because it will start from the Radiant Dawn project folder where we were at. Make a backslash and then write script compressed. And now we are in the script compressed folder. Now we have to basically decompile the CMB files. How we can do it is to say, to write out the exalt.cle.exe. I showcase it to you directly right here. It's /exalt -cle.exe space --game space fe10, all uppercase in this case, space, then say decompile with another space, /, and then you choose your CMB file you want to decompile. In this case, we look at the prologue for Act 1, so it's C0101.cmb. We press enter, and what it does, it will, in this case, it automatically opened for me the EXL file that comes out of a ZMB file, and we can now start to do edits. I mentioned earlier, I like to use Visual Studio Code like a bit more than the Paragon because of like the Visual Studio options that we have. Like easily we can do searches in this program. We can write event.turn and search up everything, but where it's like mentioned, we also see like here's a complete flag, but also here's the Leonardo event for normal and hard mode, where he joins on turn 4. If you have a lot of chapters decompiled, you can also do an overall search through all your files. You can say, hey, I want to check all event turn events, and it gets a lot more of them. It always depends if you have everything decompiled in this case. What I like to do if I want to do like, let's say, I want to make Radiant Dawn harder in this case, want to do a lot of edits on it. What I do is usually I decompile every script file from the beginning at the project and have them in a different folder. But in this case, we don't have to do it right now. We just want to edit that Leonardo joins earlier. So we changed the double 4s to 2s to say, hey, he should start to join us on the turn 2 in this case. Control S to save it. You can also choose file and have the save option. And what we have to do now, we have now made the edit. So we have made that Leonardo joins turn 2. We now have to compile the EXL file back to a ZMV file. It's pretty simple. We rewrite what we have written earlier to decompile it, and change the decompile to compile, and change the file c0101.cmb and exchange it with an EXL at the end instead of a ZMB. So it knows that it should compile the EXL file that we just edited. When we do it, it automatically saves over the ZMB file that is in the same folder. And what we have to do now to copy basically the edit into the game is to say we copy the ZMB file from the script compressed and put it into the ROMFS scripts folder. If you don't have the scripts folder, just create a new folder, call it scripts. It's absolutely fine. We take both of these edits, go to edited files and put them into the game. So we have the edit also now inside our game files, our little guides, basically, our little edited Radiant Dawn. Let's open it up and see if it's working. Let's start the chapter that we, or like the save file that we created. And we don't want to wait on any animations. So let's put Eddie here to block him. Let's speed up the enemy turn. And Leonardo joins again on turn 2. So everything was working correctly. In this case, we can close the game. And with that, we learned today how to get started with scripting, where we can find how to do edits in this case for scripting specifically, the 2 methods. You can do however you want. I just want to give another warning. Using both techniques might come with downsides. We had like issues in the past where, like as an example, my friend Donlot edited specifically in Paragon his script files, and I edited script files always via Visual Studio Code. The stuff I edited that were in the game and he opened it up in Paragon script files made it so that my scripts got deleted, everything that I edited basically. So choose one method to work with, learn it specifically, and stick with it. That's the recommendation I give with that. And if you have decompiled all script files, you can learn from different chapters. There's like a good example. I have mentioned earlier Nealucci event in Act 2 when he does his transformation at the start of the chapter. But there's actually no script option to say, unit, use that specific item. What they do in the specific script where he transforms is to say he gets transformed. He also gets, his gauge gets filled to 30. They set the value for that. And then look into his inventory and change the usage of a Lagoo stone from 3 to 2. So it basically looks like that he used the item, but actually they just did a nice workaround for it. There's a lot of cool examples that can be found. There's like also like a silver card event in Act 3, where you get the silver card specifically for one shopping chapter, and it then gets deleted from all possible unit inventories or warehouses. It can also be looked at if you want to do something similar in one of your own hacks. But I talked a lot right now, and there's like a lot of that can be experienced. We will look into specific events in the future and also do some scripting tutorials. But I think for now it's enough. If you have like any questions, feel free to ask them down in the comment sections. I will answer you as best as I can. But we will definitely follow up with further guides from like how to get a new unit into the game, how to do portrait editing, or like also like specific scripting events. Feel free to ask if you have like a specific wish you want to see in this guide series. I will try to definitely make something that you also want to see. But till then, I wish you all a wonderful evening, morning, or afternoon, wherever you are in this world. For me, it's almost midnight. So, goodbye.